So, good morning and welcome to the first meditation session of the retreat that some of you are doing. And for those of you on YouTube, good morning and good day, and welcome to this Monday morning meditation. And for this morning's meditation, I would like to emphasize the word awareness. Sometimes I like to think of the word awareness as a synonym or for mindfulness, and I'll talk more about that. But what's interesting about awareness is we talk about being aware. We don't talk about doing aware. Someone doesn't say, I'm awareing. They say, I am aware. And I associate being aware or awareness to something like hearing versus listening. Hearing is something that we can just hear. Those of us who have the ability to hear, we can hear something without intending to hear it. The sound arises in the ear, maybe a loud sound nearby, and we hear it. If we're curious about it, then we turn our attention to it and we listen to it. And listening being the active and the intentional quality of what we do with our capacity to hear. And I am, so I am aware is equivalent to the hearing. We can be aware without intending to be aware. We can be aware without directing the attention with our interest and our intentionality. And when we practice mindfulness, we're bridging these two aspects, the non-intentional and the intentional, the directed and the non-directed, the doing and the not doing. And the word awareness gives a little bit more emphasis on just allowing awareness to operate. So rather than doing awareness, we are being aware. And as such, awareness is closer to a state of mind than it is to an activity of mind. A particular mental action as important as mental actions can be, are just a subset of what awareness can be aware of. And so with this anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, as it develops, as we settle in, we're getting closer to the state of awareness than we are to moments of knowing, moments of what sometimes is called mindfulness. So taking a meditation posture and finding a posture, adjusting your body to a posture that is suitable for you to be aware in a calm and relaxed way. And for this purpose, it's helpful if the posture is relatively comfortable, relatively relaxed. And then it's helpful to settle into your body. And one of the ways of doing that is to take a few long, slow, deep breaths at the beginning of a sitting. And the deep inhales are maybe 3/4 full, 3/4 of a full in-breath. Nothing that would tire you out or strain you, but something that would allow you to feel your body more fully. Breathing in, and that full breath not only feels your body, but a little bit energizes it in a good way. And then letting your breath return to normal. And feeling your body, letting your awareness, your attention roam around your body, maybe in its own way, to the places where there are some tensions or holdings. And as you exhale, relax, soften the places of holding. Perhaps it's a little bit in the muscles of the belly, softening the belly. Maybe there's some softening around the front of the chest. A softening in the shoulders. And softening in the face. Perhaps also there's some possibility on the exhale to relax the thinking mind, maybe around where the brain is, or other places in the body where thinking has its tentacles. And as you exhale, to quiet the thinking mind. Allow the thinking mind maybe to think slower. There's no hurry here in meditation. There's no requirement to think of anything else besides the meditation. And if you're thinking about what the meditation, Maybe you can do so quietly, calmly, slowly, in ways that are clearly supportive of the meditation. So maybe the thinking is kind thoughts about now turning the attention to the breathing. Thoughts about experiencing, being present for how the body experiences breathing. Simple thoughts of receiving the inhale, thoughts of being present for the inhale just as it begins, and letting there be a receptive quality where the body's ability to be aware, to sense and to feel, receives the inhale. Maybe receives it as an upwelling feeling of energy, of movement, of sensations. And then as you exhale, to release with the exhale. There's a letting go in the exhale. Allow yourself to exhale, allowing the release. Inhaling and receiving the inhale in awareness. Allowing the exhale to release within awareness. So not so much focusing on the breathing, but more allowing breathing to focus itself in the middle of awareness, as if breathing is received, it's like the waves received by the beach, in which the beach then releases or allows to wash back, roll back into the ocean. Across the beach of awareness comes the waves of inhaling and exhaling. regardless now of what you're thinking about. What you're thinking about is less important than noticing it as activity of the mind. And whatever the activity, the actions, the energy, energetics of the mind are, see if you can let that relax. As the activities of the mind relax into a calmness of the mind, a place of settledness, a calm body, a calm mind. And then we are always aware. We're always conscious. There's always some degree of awareness going on. See if you can allow for a state of being aware, a state of awareness that is more naturally there. It doesn't require a doing, but more an allowing to be aware. Allowing awareness is close to being in a receptive state, receiving experiences as they occur in the present. And with breathing at the center of it all, a receptive awareness that also receives breathing. Receives the experience of inhaling and exhaling. Breathing as a rhythm that reminds us to be receptive in the awareness, not to fixate on anything or get caught in thought. The rhythm of breathing, received in awareness, And in a sense, a rhythm that keeps awareness open and receptive. So we stay closer to a place of quiet receptivity, a state not dominated by thinking, a state more characterized by receptive awareness of what is. A state of awareness that we repeatedly allow for, repeatedly return to, resting in receptive awareness. There is a way of being aware, where awareing is not doing, but more being, more a state that we're in, a state of awareness. And within that state, we can register, be aware of many different things that occur. But those things can occur without intentionality from us, without desire, without making something happen. And to relax, allow for that form of the state of awareness. Allow yourself to be aware. And in that allowing, allow the experience of breathing. To remind you to stay receptive, to be allowing of what is. we can recognize awareness as a state of awareness, like a state of mind or state of being. That allows us to be content in that state, or to rest in that state, to allow ourselves to be receptive in that state of awareness. Perhaps a state of awareness where we're not actively involved with what we know. We're not for things or against things. We're not trying to fix things or get away from anything. That there's a willingness to just be aware of whatever is happening. A state of awareness that's receptive and open. And with a state of awareness, resting in it, content in it, you might bring to mind or include in that awareness now some of the people that will be part of your life today. The community of people on the retreat, or those who are not on the retreat. In whatever communities you might be in today, whether personally or on some form of communication technology. And for a few moments, to allow for a sensitivity of awareness of those people. That's only possible if we rest in awareness. Allow them to exist in awareness while we rest in the awareness, or remain receptive in that awareness, where we can be aware of people without doing anything or needing to respond, act, just aware. And that staying close to this way of being receptively aware of others, just being aware of them, not paying attention to them, but being aware, simple awareness. That perhaps there in that awareness, you can now tap into your goodwill for others, or your wish for their welfare, your well-wishing of others. And to let that well-wishing radiate from you, glow from you, flow from you. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings everywhere be free. So good morning and welcome to the beginning of the week and a new theme for these morning teachings. And the theme is the 7 factors of awakening, and it's following the practice and the teaching of experiencing the mind state. The mind state, or the mind, being a broader experience of our interiority, our inner life, than noticing the particular activities of mind that are operating, for example, thinking, or particular emotions going on. And the state of mind is kind of like the mood, or the atmosphere, or the general state of way we are, our state of being almost. And so as we experience a state of mind more fully, we start becoming aware that there are different states of mind that we can experience, or different qualities, different characteristics, features of the state of mind. And these 7 factors of awakening can be seen as both as particular practices we do, and also as states, qualities or characteristics of the state of mind, or the state of awareness, that as that state of awareness, state of mind becomes more highlighted and becomes more noticed and something we can rest in and feel, then we can start noticing these qualities of awareness, these qualities of our state of mind, state of awareness. And so there are 7 of them, and the first is usually in English translated as mindfulness. The second in English usually is investigation, then effort, joy, tranquility, samadhi, usually translated as concentration, and equanimity. And these are considered the crown jewels of Buddhism. They are sometimes actually likened, apparently in ancient India, a monarch had 7 jewels that kind of represented the monarchy. And so in Buddhism, those 7 jewels are the 7 factors of awakening. Kind of a curious metaphor that's found in the ancient texts is that it's like this a monarch that has 7 special sets of clothes, suits to wear at different occasions, and And so in the same way that a monarch has these special, maybe affluent sets of clothes to wear, so Buddhist practitioners, as they develop in practice, have these seven factors of awakening as their suit. It's a kind of a strange metaphor, but I think that maybe what's suggested by it is a suit is something you wear for a while. A set of clothes, you wear it for a while. And so these different factors of awakening, at different times, different ones of them represent the state of mind we are in. And we kind of wear that state for a while. So there can be a time when mindfulness involves a great sense of a clear awareness. And the clear sense of awareness stands out, and that's the primary characteristics of our state of mind. Other times it might be that there's a great sense of tranquility, or a great sense of joy, or a great sense of unification, samadhi, or a great state of equanimity that stands out of these seven factors of awakening. Each one can stand out and be the primary characteristic, or it's possible to be aware of all seven kind of in balance, all working together in a certain way, and we can recognize them together and or maybe see how we need to bring them into balance. And many years ago when I sat a long retreat, at some point in the practice, these seven factors of awakening stood out in highlight, and which they can, and when the mind is really settled and at peace, then these become some of the primary characteristics of what we notice in mindfulness, because everything else is kind of abated and gotten quiet and still and peaceful, and these seven factors are what remains. And I found myself that I was I was actually instructed to balance them, bring them into balance. And at some point the teacher said, I've noticed that when you talk about bringing these seven factors of awakening into balance, you never talk about equanimity. It seems like you're always tinkering with them. And then I realized, yes, I was always kind of thinking I had to fix them and get them just right. And I had no equanimity around whatever state I was in. And that helped me kind of to settle back and become more equanimous. So the first of these seven factors of awakening is sati, is the ancient Pali word for it, S-A-T-I, and translated a number of different ways. And mindfulness is the most common in English. And but the way that mindfulness practices come to the West, there are many things that are called mindfulness. All of them may be appropriately so, but sometimes what mindfulness is referred to as a clear recognition of what's happening. So it's a cognitive act of recognizing hearing, if you're hearing my voice right now, or recognizing there's pressure on your butt if you're sitting on a chair, or that the recognition, oh, my hand is cold, but my torso is warm. And so there's the clear recognition of things, and sometimes that's represented by using mental notes, where that recognition is a little bit more highlighted and focused with the mental noting. Sometimes what's called mindfulness is feeling, experiencing, sensing experiences. And some teachers really emphasize not these languages of feeling. Feel your breathing, sense your breathing, experience what's going on, and so it's more sensory. And so we're kind of resting in the sensory capacity of the body to be mindful, to be aware. And sometimes what's emphasized is the power of observation, and what's just simply observe what's happening, and but don't interfere with it. And all those three, recognition, feeling, and observing, are emphasized by the Buddha as practices that we can do. But it's not necessarily what he calls sati or mindfulness. He has other words for those activities, But what those other activities are, they're part of mindfulness practice, because they're the practices that lead to sati, lead to a state of awareness. And what we're looking for as we practice these things, clearly recognizing what's happening, focusing on the breathing, feeling the experience more fully, observing the experience as it's happening, is what we're moving towards is a state of awareness. And sometimes it's been translated when it becomes a state. Bhikkhu Bodhi sometimes used the translation of lucid awareness. And there's a sense of lucidity, a clarity, an openness, a luminosity. So all these metaphors that people try to use to describe the state of mindfulness. And it's not easy to be there. It's not easy to rest in that state or be with it. And that's why in the process of anapanasati, deepening practice, that with time we get a sense of the state of mind. We can also then become aware there's a state of awareness that's almost coterminous with the state of mind. It's almost the same thing, or occurs within the same domain. And so sati, mindfulness as a state that we allow for. And so I think that the English word awareness is my preferred way of then translating sati. And we are aware. So we say, I am aware. And so to kind of paraphrase Descartes, I am aware, therefore I am. And the word I am almost applies kind of almost an identity. Like this kind of defines me. So this I am aware kind of suggests this broad kind of way of being, or just existing in a certain way, existing in awareness. Not easy to rest in or be with, but it is possible. And one of the ways to get to that is to begin living at the speed of mindfulness. And this is particularly valuable to do while on a retreat, where nothing really has to be done. There's no hurry to do anything, hopefully, and where there's more time to take it easy and just kind of do things maybe at a slower pace than usual. And so to practice at the speed of mindfulness means to, or to say it differently, to practice at the speed of awareness. And what I mean by that is to do things, whatever you're going to do them at the speed that keeps you closely aware of being aware. That you're cognizant of yourself being aware as you do it. In whatever way awareness is for you at a particular time, through the recognition of what you're doing as you're doing it, by sensing and feeling it as you do it, or simply observing it quietly in the back of the mind or something. That you sense it and feel it. So the speed of mindfulness, speed of awareness, is to stay close so you know you're doing it. You know you're part of it. You're allowing something to register in the present moment around the experience, as opposed to doing things so quickly that you're ahead of yourself. You're into the next thing. You're more thinking about the next thing than just really being for each thing you do. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do things slowly. I was a fast order cook after I came back from 3 years in a Zen monastery. And I learned to be very aware, spinning around and doing many things at once in the kitchen, working fast. In some ways I found it easier to be aware there, because I would let go of all my distractions, just be in the dance of the kitchen. So it doesn't necessarily have to be fast, slow, but generally, especially on retreat, generally for most people that's the kind of beginning, the access point for that to happen. So the mindfulness, The first factor of awakening, and sometimes seen as a particular activity of mind, practice we do, and sometimes as a state of mind. And hopefully the activity of doing it, the practice, leads to this lucidity of awareness, this state of mind, state of being mindful, state of being aware. And that you'll feel the goodness of that and the freedom of it and the benefits of doing that. So thank you. And we'll continue these morning talks with the factors of awakening tomorrow.